Welcome back to another episode of the Bear Trap on the Boomer Bust channel, Bears podcast by a Bears fan. I'm your host Terry, and today we have to talk about Caleb Williams. Oh my God, we have to talk about Caleb Williams. We have to have a different discussion. So I kicked off the draft stuff today, and Caleb Williams. I'll say this in general first. My evaluations seem to get quicker and quicker every year. I swear it does. Like, I watched one game, not even just because it was Caleb, but just in general, I'm like, okay, I feel like I know what type of prospect I'm looking at. But you still want to go through and make sure you see consistency and different things like that. But either way, point being, I saw enough to make me want to jump on, to stop what I was doing and jump on and talk about this after finished doing my write-up. Because look, I've heard, and I'm sure all of you have heard, the generational talent talk, all those different things, and it happens a lot, whatever. And even though the people that I trust, if they say it's a generational talent, I would believe that. I still have to do my due diligence, and that's what you got to do. You can't just stand on other people's opinions. So I went in, watched it, and again, see, this is the thing. Highlights is one thing. Like, some people, and even me when I was young, but the availability of film was different. But when I was young, and a lot of people do now, they'll say, "Oh, I do draft," or "I study," because you watch some highlights. That's not the same. And that's why I can look at a few. First of all, I watch Andrew Voorhees and Addison in the Notre Dame game last year, plus other games. So I've seen Caleb Williams, but to see him on the periphery of watching somebody else, to watch highlights, to see a couple plays live and be like, oh, I feel like he's this type of player. But then when you sit down and you focus on him, you see so much more, and that's why it's just a totally different thing. I learned that a long time ago. I stopped watching highlights. I mean, obviously, I've been doing this a long time, but early on in my draft days, I stopped watching highlights. I got out of that because that's a totally different thing. That's not giving you any real sense of this player. So to sit down and really focus on Caleb, I can articulate what I see as to be the reason why you would consider him generational. So first of all, he has a big arm, and that's what it always starts with, because it wasn't too long ago that I always said that the big arm thing was overrated. And it doesn't guarantee you to be anything, but it does allow you a certain ceiling that other players don't. And I had to learn that. Like anything in the draft, there's a balance to how you weight these things. So I was on like the whole other side. Like, I do not care if you got a big arm. And a lot of people have always been like, you have to have a big arm. So I found my way to the middle. But one thing I do know, again, having that big arm, your arm doesn't get stronger. You rarely get a lot more accurate, very rarely. But one thing you never do is your arm doesn't just get stronger. So we've seen plenty of quarterbacks in the league in the last 5 or 7 years where we've gotten more and more and more quarterback play because they play earlier and they get burnt out quicker. So we've seen a lot of quarterbacks in these last 7 years, and we've seen many of these backups that might have a little flicker and then they fall out because a lot of times they just don't have the arm strength. So it starts there. Level 5 arm, 5 out of 5. Maybe I need a new scale because all level 5 arms aren't equal. So I wouldn't say he has a Josh Allen, because Josh Allen's still a whole different standard, but he is up there. He is up there with the guys that have easy velocity, whether that's Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen. Let me think. Who else am I thinking of? Justin Herbert, like a lot of those guys. And so he's up there. It starts with that. That's going to get you out of a lot of situations. Now, starts to make him rare is when you combine that arm with his escapability and his pocket awareness. Like, honestly, we all know, we're Bears fans. You think of Justin Fields. Big dude, strong, super fast, hard to take down. He's got escapability. He does not have pocket awareness anywhere close to what Caleb Williams has. And so that is the difference. And I didn't even mean that to be like a Justin Fields versus Caleb. You could take any quarterback you want that is elusive. It's a difference between being elusive and elusive with pocket awareness. The only like I said in one of my comments, initially it gives off Johnny Manziel. Johnny Manziel and Kyler Murray are really the only two that I could think of with that type of style that I've seen in college, where they know where they are. It's not just, I'm running around like a chicken with my head cut off. No, you have awareness of where people are. You don't just get lucky play after play, game after game, scrambling into the right spot. No, you know where everything is at. And so yes, he's creative with his moves, and I don't think he's not Justin Fields, he's not Josh Allen, he's not none of those guys. Like, yeah, he's going to be elusive, but when the big dude gets the hands on him, he's going to go down more than likely. So I am not saying he's Big Ben or nothing like that, but he's creative. But the real thing is that he knows where he is in the pocket, and he knows where the defenders are in the pocket. And some people believe that that's just an innate sense that you have. Obviously, it's not that simple. You have your people just have better peripheral vision, and some people just have those better senses, and you can work on those things. But some people do have physical traits that allow them to have a higher level of pocket awareness, but that's something you could work on. So either way, you don't always get a quarterback that can feel the pressure or that can have spatial awareness. There you go. They don't have the spatial awareness to understand where they are in relation to their linemen, in relation to the defensive line. And again, there's the certain quarterbacks I've seen over the years where it's like they know where they are in the pocket. And Joe Burrow reminds me of one of those guys. So either way, so now you have a big arm, you have this, I would say, elite spatial awareness in the pocket and some elite escapability. But then you stack onto that, he knows how to keep his eyes downfield. Justin Fields moving around a broken pocket is him looking for a lane he can take off. And it's cool. It's fine. People like that. Mahomes is doing that a whole lot more. I mean, now he's doing it smartly. He's doing that against man coverage, but still, it's cool. When Caleb breaks, he can take off, but he's looking to throw the ball downfield. And this is where, people say Mahomes 2.0, when in all actuality it's Aaron Rodgers. That they're all spins of Aaron Rodgers. I've been telling y'all that for years. He's the biggest influence on the current quarterback class. So this is what he made popular, extending the play, not running just to run, but extending the play so that he could get something downfield. So that's a trait, the ability to extend the play, the ability to have a second play, as they say, the off-schedule stuff. That's an ability that everybody's looking for these days in quarterbacks. So he has that. But what enhances it, from what I've seen, is I would say about 8 times out of 10, to me on film, it looks like he knows where everybody is downfield. And we're not talking about, at the top of the drop, knowing where everybody is, because that's important. But we're talking about in the mess, moving around, doing all the Caleb Williams things you see. He still knows where everybody is supposed to be. So he knows where to look for an outlet. Now, don't get me wrong. It's not 100%. There's times where he is just moving around and looking and find some. Obviously, it's a scramble drill. Receiver's going to move, but I'm telling you, like 8 times out of 10, he knows where he's going. It's not just happenstance. And so you watch, and he's making intentional moves. He's intentionally backing up, backpedaling, or intentionally running this way so he can turn around and cut up this way because he knows his receiver is coming that way. And so that is different than other quarterbacks you've seen that might scramble drill or even backyard extend the play, like Josh Allen. Josh Allen is a great example. Josh Allen, still to this day, but early when he was really at his peak, he was just the king of escaping to his right, and the receivers knew it, and so he's just waiting for somebody to move around and make something happen. Obviously, it's the NFL, so it's going to be different. Defense is going to be a lot more disciplined, but that's just, him trying to make something out of nothing. With Caleb, a lot of times I see, again, when he escapes, he still understands the concept of the play that they ran and where the people are going to be at. And so if it's a super long extended play, yeah, it's going to be some backyard football. But because of the O-line they had with a lot of initial pressure, when he's able to evade it, step up through the pocket, he's always pressing the line. One thing I do like too, you step up and make throws, which I think is important, but it's also nice when the quarterback knows how to press the line and still have the ability to make the throw. Because when you press the line, instead of stepping up in the pocket, 1, 2, boom, throw, is different than running towards the line of scrimmage and then making a throw, because now you're putting a defender in conflict. And Caleb has, in what I watch, has created a run-pass conflict like few quarterbacks I've seen. Mahomes, I would say, is one that is really good at that. But obviously, whether it's him or Aaron Rodgers, they're not supreme scramblers, but they're good enough to they have a good enough arm and a good enough ability to where they can threaten the line, and if you choose to honor that run, they do have the arm to still cut you while they're moving. So you take that combination, and it really is a rare prospect. I don't know about generational talent. I think that term is not necessary when we're talking about draft, to be honest, because what constitutes as a generation. But when you're talking about rare prospects, yes, I would say he's a rare prospect, definitely a 5-star prospect. So to me, I look at it and I wonder what his accuracy is. So the thing I've seen, because this is a couple things. So when you have a player like this, the number one thing you'll see is big arm syndrome. And Caleb, I think, is more of a gunslinger, but essentially in trouble, he's going to have big arm syndrome unless you coach it out of him. And big arm syndrome is something you've seen with Jay Cutler, we're very familiar with. This was Josh Allen in his early years. These are players that have big arms, really strong arms, and so because of that, they don't always have the proper mechanics, throwing mechanics and lower body mechanics to tie the lower half to throw in rhythm. And because of that, the accuracy will dip at times, but also they feel like they can fit the ball into windows that they probably shouldn't. Not to say that they can't or never do, but they're going to start taking unnecessary throws because they feel like they could fit it in. So those are the two issues you get with big arm syndrome. And Caleb, for me, I don't think he tried to fit it into many tight windows. And that's one of the questions I have about him, because he was such a off-schedule player that a lot of times those throws were open, or he was throwing it to space where the receiver was running to it. And so putting it in a tight window, which again, he's had first, I forgot, I should have remembered which team he played, but he threw a touchdown, a back shoulder fade, a back shoulder throw that was a bomb down the field within an inch of the sideline of the end zone. That was incredible. And I'm pretty sure he was on the run when he threw it. Like, if you're just talking about just the beauty of the throw and the play, that was a 10 out of 10. That was some rare stuff that that's like a hole in one right there. So, not to say that he's never had anything in a tight space where he had to be accurate, but because he played so off schedule, just a lot of times he was able to get open windows. And so my question is, what happens against the tighter windows? Because and that's what makes it hard to gauge his accuracy. And I'm sure if I could watch every single cut up there is of him, I would probably get a better gauge, and I'm sure I'll watch more in the next round of evaluations. But from the games I watched today, I think I watched 5 games. I didn't see any situations where he really had to be on time and put it into a window. Now, you're not going to see that a ton in college in general, and that's one of the many reasons people talk about the transition for rookie quarterbacks, is because the windows are so much wider in college, which it's a little weird because they can hold and they can do a lot more physically as D-backs. But still, for whatever reason, maybe they're just not the best athletes, but you got a lot more wide open windows in college. So I'm wondering what that looks like when he has to do that, because the times where I saw his accuracy noticeably get a little off, he would throw high, and it was almost always against man coverage where his receiver or the defensive back was plastered to his receiver, and I would see the ball get a little high on him. But again, he wasn't in that situation a lot. And so the thought process is, with the mobility that he has, when you get man coverage, it's going to be like Mahomes. He's going to be taking off most of the time, making you pay for that. People want to go in. They're not going to want to go into man coverage against him because he's going to make you pay for that. But the thing is hopefully we all recognize now, you're never going to always be in your optimal setting or your optimal context. You're going to have to play games, and even in the same game, you're going to have to be able to be effective and operate in different situations if you want to become, a high level team or a high level player. You have to be able. It's not always going to be you're up. It's not always going to be, hey, I can just take off when it's man coverage. It's not always going to be the window's perfect. So those are the things that I'm curious about as far as Caleb Williams, because I didn't really get to see those things on tape. And I've talked about Justin Fields and quarterbacks in general, about the off schedule and all that. And so with the type of arm he has and with the type of football IQ he seems to have, I just don't have a huge fear that he won't be able to play within rhythm. I think a guy that is that much of a gamer and has that much of a football acumen, I think he'll legitimately be fine growing into where you have to be a little more on time. So yeah, those are my thoughts. Now, I would say initially I was like, oh yeah, Bears got to take him. But as I got closer to recording this, I was like, I think it's a conversation I'm having in my head in real time. And I think it's still, the same factors you got to take into from before. But the conversation to me has a different temperature after watching Caleb. And now I see kind of where everybody is in this discourse, because this is a legit bona fide 5-star prospect. Now, the thing about it is that I think Caleb potentially is the type of guy that can burn through offensive coordinators, because he's going to have the number one pick status. He's going to have like status as a generational talent. So if you get into a situation where you don't have the staff to control him and he's out there just doing his own thing, that, like any gunslinger, that's going to come with ups and downs. And so he's going to absolutely make some bad plays. And I think if you do it enough and you don't have a surrounding team, obviously like USC, you're going to lose. And when you lose, they're not going to blame Caleb. They're going to blame whoever the OC is. And so for me, I mean, it doesn't affect us because we don't work for them. But it does make you feel a little weird, I think, if you're a coach or a GM, where you just got to know that it's very possibly this kid could get a lot of people fired. He could get a lot of people fired, because if you make this choice, the fans and the owners are not going to turn on Caleb Williams. And so whoever comes in, head coach, OC, whatever, GM even, it's going to be some hot seats once he starts. Because some of that magic that was magic in college, just like Johnny Manziel, turns into disaster in the NFL. But again, like for the reason I laid out, I don't think he's Johnny Manziel. Not saying that, but there are going to be growing pains. There should never be. I don't care if it does work out beautiful like CJ Stroud did. If I'm the Texans, or if I'm the Bears getting Caleb, or if I'm anybody, I'm never expecting my quarterback to just come in here and dominate the league. You should never think that way. You should definitely let them play and grow, but you should never expect that they're just going to come in here and do what they did in college. You got to be prepared for the growing pains. So I think Caleb and his style of play, if you leave it the way it is destined for that. It's completely destined in those first 3 years for a lot of growing pains, and he could get some people fired, but I don't know him, and that's where. So if you continue to listen to my draft coverage beyond just the Bears talk, and if you've listened before, I'm telling you, we got a small piece of the evaluation. Like, the film matters, hands down, but you gotta know the player. And people want to continue to ask questions like how and why. Like Stroud, why does Stroud? Why do you seem to get this? Why do you seem to know that? You gotta know the person. You gotta get in and know the person. The measurable is gonna tell you one thing. The stats are gonna tell you one thing. The film's gonna tell you a lot. But until you get to know the person, that's the only way you really know, because people look at it like it's some type of, I don't know, like there's some type of alien beings that are doing this special thing called NFL football. No, they're people. If you know anybody in the NFL, any level of position, you know that this is just another business like any other business. You walk in there and it's people. And so, like I said before, now having an LB that's in the NFL, that has really crystallized, because I've always known it, but it really crystallizes it for you. Like, these people are not sitting in the building plugged into a wall ready to go practice. No, they get out and it's just like if you've been to college, it's the same thing. Once you get out of class, you're not just sitting on campus waiting to be a student. No, you got a life. You choose to do what you want with your free time. That's how these people are, just like us. So until you get to know the player and the person, then only could you really understand their capacity for growth. And that's the part that I don't get to do in my evaluations, and that really makes the difference. Um, and so, and sometimes that's why people miss too, to be honest, because they do fall too much in love with the player as a person and don't really evaluate them correctly as a player. But either way, when it comes to quarterbacks, specifically with Caleb, I would want to know that temperature, because the to me the right, well, there's many right answers. There's no one right answer, but to me, my answer would be, if I'm in front of Eberflus and Poles and I'm pitching for my OC job, my thing is with Caleb, the natural inclination is, oh, we got to do what they did at USC. We got to, go 5 wide, spread offense, just drop back, throw. We got to do what the Bengals do. And I don't honestly believe that. I think the truth is, what you want to do is the opposite way. You want to go more so to what a Dallas does. You want to go more so to what San Fran does. You want to go to what I almost said Seattle, but I don't want y'all to start with this Shane Waldron stuff. But not really what Seattle's done with Geno, but more so what they did with Russ. But still, you want to get this kid under center. To me, you are cutting off so much magic if you just sit him back in the shotgun, play after play, and just go straight spread, throw it, like air raid. That is going to waste everything, because, and I tell you, football goes in cycles. Like, the reason the under center has came back strongly is because of the play action value and the misdirection value you get at it in general. So when you mix some of these spread concepts, or whatever concepts you want to call it, where we're getting athletes in space, whether that's reverses, jet sweeps, and all that, being under center adds a whole nother element to it with the ball handling that throws defenses off. And so, especially, and guess when it's at its best? When you handing the ball off. Because when you got a running back that's coming downhill and he's been ripping off 10 yards, 12 yards, 11 yards, the scariest thing is that quarterback turning around again with that ball, because you don't know what's about to happen. He might be coming downhill. Now you trying to overreact. Now, next thing you know, running quarterback tucks that thing, pulls it back out. You got a wide open dude, no one near him for a touchdown. Jordan Love to Musgrave. So I get it. I get, there's a lot of people that are in love with the spread pass first type stuff, the bubble screen type stuff. That's not really where I think it's at. I really think you get into 21 personnel, not only under center, but in the shotgun too. Now, I was going to say we need a Debo type player, but we got one, DJ Moore, because I do truly think, especially the way you watch him, because he's such a run pass threat, that you want to have a guy that you could do a lot of misdirection with. As soon as DJ Moore get in the backfield, he flares out and everybody's looking that way. Now you can run something back the other way, or you get those quick screens to him, flared out like a running back swing screen. And then you do that a couple times. Now the next time he does it, people are flying to him. You hit a smoke screen the other way, or you swing out DJ Moore, jet sweep the other receiver the other way. Now Caleb, he's on the run, and he can throw it to that receiver going downfield, or he could just use him as a lead block. So you got to be able to mix those elements in. But I'm telling you, the thing is, if you can run the ball downhill and you can play action off that, having someone with Caleb's ability in the passing downs is going to make the offense impossible to defend. It's going to make it a terror for people, because you're limiting the amount that Caleb is going to expose himself to getting hurt, but also turnovers. But then you're lulling the defense asleep. And you're like, okay, this is the offense they run. We know we're gonna get a steady dose of all this, and we're strapping our chin straps up. We're ready to go. And then 3 or 4 plays a game. Oh yeah, crap, that's Caleb Williams. Caleb does something crazy on you. That's what you want. You want it, as they say, pitch perfect. You want to strike that balance. And so I think, again, the complete wrong answer would be to get Caleb and just put him in a pass happy situation. Of course, there's going to be a lot of exciting moments and all that. And I'm not saying lock away all that talent. What I'm saying is use it in sporadic doses that's complementary to a strong run game. Because again, like a naked boot with Caleb Williams or anything, I mean, it's Caleb Williams. In terms of what he can do with the ball in his hand, as a defender, as a coach, I'm not trying to see Caleb Williams with a sophisticated under-centered game, because now you open up the floodgates for what can be thrown at you. And then you blitz and you mistime that on a play action, oh, it's up. It's up. Literally, the ball is up and in the end zone. So that would be my approach with it. Also, let me say as a side note, I see people got smoked for Shannon Sharp because he was talking about DJ Moore. I didn't disagree with him. There's maybe 3 receivers he named that I would take over. That I would take DJ over, but I don't get this thing. Why is everything got to be hating? As he said, if you're going to say he's top 10, top 5, whatever, who are you taking? Who are you taking DJ Moore over? And as you list them out, I'm not taking them over Jetta. I'm not taking them over Chase. I'm not taking them over Tyreek. I'm not taking them over CeeDee Lamb. I'm not taking him over DK Metcalf. And then I'm sure there's a lot of Kupp is kind of there toward, but I still think Kupp could get busy. You got the Cooper Kupp. You got a whole long list of receivers out there. Like it's just that type of season, I should say, for the NFL, and it's only about to get worse because this receiving class is huge. Oh yeah, and then you're talking about Garrett Wilson, Olave. I probably wouldn't take them over DJ Moore, but still, you got so many names. So, I mean, I would probably say he's top 15, but everybody got smoked for Shannon like he said something crazy. That's my personal opinion. But anyway, so back to Caleb. So the question is such a legit question, and I'm not envious of anyone, because it'd be one thing if it was like I don't even know a good example, but it'd be one thing if it was like a quarterback where people have mixed opinions on and he's kind of polarizing, or people think he's good but not great. This is a bona fide talent, rare talent. And so there is no hiding behind anything. Like even last year, if you want to say, we felt Bryce a little bit over Stroud, or we like Stroud a little bit more, or we like Richardson's potential a little more than both of those guys, or you could go bounce it back and forth. But in this draft, and I didn't even see the other quarterbacks, but I know for a fact I've not seen a quarterback like Caleb Williams, and so it is, you can't hide behind that excuse. So now you got that on your plate, but then you're legitimately talking about getting I wouldn't say life-changing, but definitely a franchise-altering opportunity with the amount of draft capital you get. And that's not even counting if you potentially would get another veteran like a DJ Moore. So if you do get a legit veteran, like in this prime player, plus you get more ammo whether in this draft or next year's draft. I mean, yeah, because I haven't watched them, but from what I hear, Joe Alt and I'm gonna figure out how to pronounce the young man's name out of Penn State, because I do feel that stuff to me doesn't fly anymore. That, oh, it's hard to pronounce, let me give you a nickname. Like, no, don't let nobody erase your name. So out of respect to him, I'm gonna figure out how to pronounce his name. But from what I hear, those two are like some of the best left tackle prospects we've seen in a little bit of time. So I mean, and I like Braxton Jones, I'm not saying anything against him, but you know, elite tackle prospects, you got to mess with that. Even Darnell Wright last year, I liked him, but last year there was no real consensus on that O-line group last year. I thought it was some really good tackles, but I wouldn't say it was anyone elite. So if you got two elite left tackles, I mean, I don't think there's a game-changing edge rusher this year, but even still, even if you get another corner or like whatever you want to get, you know, stacking talent is how you get Super Bowl rosters. So you got a real decision to make. And it's tough, man. It is tough. It does help that this ain't our pick. That is crazy. You know, because you could be butt naked out here with just your pick like the Panthers. Well, that wasn't their pick either. They traded for it. But you could be butt naked out here like, oh, we just happened to get the first pick this year, like the Bengals or Jacksonville. We really just got this one shot at it. Hopefully we get somebody that works. You could do that, but we're in a privileged position where A, is not even our pick, and then our pick is actually in the top 10. And then we got a quarterback that we could trade. So, and then you got Bajan, which I said makes this all easier. So you really are in a good position to make this decision, but it is still earth shattering to pass on Caleb Williams, even if you get all the assets that you want on the roster. You still making a huge philosophical choice with Justin Fields. Because I just don't know that Justin's going to become, he's not going to be a CJ Stroud. I just don't think he will be. And so you're making a huge philosophical choice at that point. Not only that, as I said before, you're choosing to put your career on the line for a quarterback you didn't draft. So it is monumental, man. You know, as I sit here and weigh the options, it is, I'll tell you, for me personally, as a homegrown type guy, as far as drafting and building rosters, it's hard for me to want to pass up on that much capital. Woo! It is hard, because now there's this talk right now about Fields to Falcons for the 8th pick. That's not happening. The only way that's happening is if the 9th pick is going with it. There's no way Justin Fields is worth the number 8 pick in the draft. So unless Atlanta gets really desperate, I don't know if that's happening. Again, most of the league feels that Justin's conversation is a second round, maybe 2 second round picks. Potentially, but the number 8 pick, I don't know, because if you put Justin Fields in this draft, I don't know if he's going number 8. I'm not gonna lie to you. So I can't see that happening unless it's a monument. But if I'm not mistaken, didn't the Falcons fire their GM, or did I make that up? They must not have, because they're interviewing Bill Belichick already. I thought they fired their GM too, but anyway, it doesn't matter. Point is, unless you have a monumental collapse in decision making, I don't see Fields going for the number 8 pick with nothing else. Like, to me, it would probably be number 8, and then some other stuff, some more capital, and then they'll get our 9 in return or something like that. I just don't see Fields going. That's tough. I mean, great for us, but that'd be wild if the Falcons did that. He is not worth that. So we'll see what you could get with Justin, because then that, again, helps cushion the loss of all those potential picks. But still, man, with Bryce Young is one thing, and again, 10 times out of 10, I'll stand on it. Bryce Young, excellent prospect, and could be an excellent quarterback, but not the rarity that Caleb Williams is. If Caleb Williams was 6'3", they would be calling him the greatest quarterback prospect in history. I guarantee it. The only thing you think about when you first look is like, okay, he's a little undersized. That's the first thought, because you go to a Josh Allen, you go to a Justin Herbert, a Drake May, and a Peyton Manning, one of those statuesque guys. Josh Allen to me is the perfect. He's gotten bigger since he got drafted, so he's always the perfect to me. Like, that's what, if just as we say, that might be a little meatheadish of me, but as for my preference, that's who I would want as a quarterback. That's what I want my quarterback to look like. As far as stature, like, I know our channel trolls gonna be like, you want a white quarterback? Not saying that. But stature wise, that's what you want. So if Caleb was 6'3", it wouldn't be a conversation. But yeah, so I think with that, it's different than it was with Bryce Young, because the consensus is going to be on Caleb Williams. So he's from DC. Washington is trying to make a splash. If they because someone mentioned Jonathan Allen, who is probably going to be, I think he got paid, but he's probably, he's in his prime enough to where he probably could be one of your key positions, as far as a leader in a rebuild, but he's also could be a cap casualty. So, they got money, but still, he could be a cap casualty if they really want to clean things out. So if Washington comes at you where, what do they have? 2 or 3? I don't remember, but we get their pick, and then we get Jonathan Allen. Let's say they give us Jonathan Allen and Deron Payne. That's what I would ask for. So now we just gonna import Washington. We could see Chase Young in free agency, get him too. We just import their whole D-line over here. But let's say you get we just drafted 2 D tackles, so maybe we wouldn't go for both, but I would. So you get Jonathan Allen, maybe Deron Payne. You get their pick this year, so we don't move back that far. And then let's just say, I don't know that they could afford to give us 2 more years of first round picks, but let's just say they do. Let's just say they give us a second round pick this year and 2 firsts for the next 2 years, or first for the next 2 years. So the 25 and 26 draft. Woo! Because they want Caleb bad. They want a hometown. They want him bad. It's hard for me to say I would pass that up. Woo! Ryan Poles, man, I'm all you decision makers over in Hallis, my thoughts are with y'all, because this is a insanely tough decision. Now, it's probably not as tough because they know the offers, but we're making up offers. But if I was to get an offer like that, I don't know how I would pass that up. And I don't even know if Washington has multiple picks, but that's what I lean more towards. I more so want a team that's going to give me 2 picks in this draft, in the first round. So if somebody came at me with that in a player, oh my God. So yeah, man, you got a solid roster, you got cap space. So you do feel like you could put in some pieces and really get the humming, because you're not going to, there's nowhere, I think, on our team where we're asking a rookie to come in and carry the load. If you come in as a tackle, we got another first round tackle. Even if we move him to guard, whatever. Plus you got Jenkins, who's really good. If you come in as a receiver, and there's some receiver, I know everybody's going crazy over Marvin Harrison. I ain't watched him yet, But there is some receivers this year. First of all, the average height of this class is like 6'2", 6'3". Everybody's so tall. So there's some boys. And so while everybody's going crazy for Harrison, I'm sure he might be the number one guy. I haven't watched him. I could be wrong, but I just don't know that any receiver is going to be that much separate from this class, because this class is really great. But so even if you're Marvin Harrison, you come in as a receiver, you got DJ Moore there, and you got Komet as a passing option. You come in as a corner. Stevenson's going into his second year. Obviously, we'll probably bring back Jalen Johnson. And so if you the nickel, then you got veterans there. If you come in as a free safety, you got Brisker there. We already got linebackers. You come in as an edge rusher, you got Sweat there. So no rookie is having to take on the whole load and be the guy. So I think you are in that position where you could really plug 2 to 3 pieces in as rookies and really get the humming. So it's a tough decision, man. I have not wrapped my head around it fully. What do y'all think? I mean, I know y'all probably was on the Caleb train before, but now that I'm on it and I understand what's at stake here, I'm curious, what do y'all think we should do? Because I'm telling you, from my opinion, this is a bona fide dude. Now, the thing is, don't be one of those casual fans and be like, oh, he's a bona fide dude, so it doesn't matter what happens, he's going to fix it. No. Bona fide dude still has to be put in the right situation. But I think we have the pieces to really make this work. But it is such a shift going from Fields, and I ain't talking about play style, I'm talking about philosophically. It is a shift going from this Field, whoever it is, the established vet that we don't quite know what we think of yet, to going to a number 1 overall pick. Because like I said, everybody else is getting fired before Caleb Williams. Everybody's going to get fired before Caleb Williams. The status he had, like, this ain't the same as taking a quarterback at the end of the first round or second round or whatever. The number 1 overall pick, generational talent quarterback, that is a shift. That is a complete, everything in Chicago goes through Caleb Williams now. And so that is such a monumental decision. It would be one thing. Let's just say we just had our pick and we had the number 3 pick. That would be a huge choice. Do we want to go with one of these top 3 talented quarterbacks and move on from our guy? Number 1, Caleb Williams, is that times 10. So I don't know, man. I really don't know. Y'all let me know, man. Go to the comment section. Let me know what you think right now. What do you think we should do? And I get it. I get the first thought is, even if you take Caleb, you still got a top 10 pick. True. Love that. You trade Justin, you might get some more. I love that. Again, we're in a great situation. But, man, the haul you could get for number 1. So go to the comment section. Let me know. Share around. Get the conversation started. Thumbs up, subscribe. And remember, stay up and bear down.